Hello, sorry about that. Let's have a little zoom into my baby Yoda. I don't know if that's zooming in at the moment. Yeah, I'll do another video about how I've got with him so far. He's nowhere near finished. This isn't anywhere near the finished article, but I'm going to do another video about what I've done with this. Right, okay, my last video cut off quite abruptly. Zoom into myself again, hopefully. I don't know why, I had loads of room left on my camera. Oh, okay, what's the time? Come on, Daisy. Come on, Daisy. Come on. Sorry about that. Right, yeah, so I haven't really got about halfway through my list so far of what to talk about. Yeah, so new characters. Something about Poe and his Daft Punk bounty hunter woman, or whoever she was, and about how he was a spice smuggler like Han Solo was. So the funny thing about this as well is back to the original A New Hope, when Ben says to well, Ben's basically, no, it was Owen Lars that says to Luke about how, well, don't worry about him, he's a crazy old fool or whatever, and about how his father, and saying, oh, he was just a spice runner. So telling Luke that Darth Vader was, rather than telling Luke that Darth Vader was his father, he preferred to tell him he was basically a drug smuggler. So that's quite a bit of a weird one. But anyway, yeah. So you've got the new characters. You had the Pip suddenly turned up from Lord of the Rings as well. I don't quite know what his character was all about, but didn't need another new character. Didn't need this new Daft Punk woman. Didn't need Janna, who's apparently another stormtrooper that a new friend of Finn, another stormtrooper that defected along with the whole battalion, and they suddenly got loads of horsey things as well. So the new Finn-alike. And then that woman that was left from the rebels, she was running about everywhere, sort of shouting a few things as well. The old woman, I don't know what her name was. Yeah, and then Hux, General Hux, he was the big baddie. What we thought was the leader of the First Order, and he turns out to be a spy. He was the spy that he managed to get the information about where this blade or dagger is or something, and I can't remember, but he was killed off immediately within a few seconds by the new character Richard E. Grant played. He's apparently a new First Order leader in command, and he just sort of shot Hux off just like that. Another character that was along with a huge line of other characters that just baddies that just got killed off with no real explanation and no real story. I'm thinking of Captain Phasma and Boba Fett and Aura Singh. She got killed by being pushed off a cliff, and you don't hear about any of these characters, how they sort of, what happened after, what happened to them. They all just got killed off. So back to this one about what the Force can do these days. It can you can hold ships. They're trying to get him up to the sort of powers of Force up to the sort of powers of Thanos with all his Infinity Stones sort of thing. You can hold ships in midair. You can heal. You can resurrect people from the dead. You can ghost Force into. You can be a ghost. A Jedi ghost now, and interact with everything. You can fight and bring down lightning bolts from the sky as a Force ghost. You can stop lightsabers and hold them, and you can and also with the Force now you can create life, and you can even though that's kind of pertained to that's about the only one that was pertained to in the previous 6 films. You can mutiny. The Force makes you mutiny. All the stormtroopers that mutinied. You can Force project and have a fight in another complete other galaxy, and you can Force interact and sort of pass on weapons down Force Skype. You can mind meld, and with all this mind melding, you can sort of just fight a duel with each other, you know, and fighting. You're not actually there and whatever. It's just you can touch things and have visions through them now. And Ray Jump. What was that one about? I don't know what that's about. Yeah, it's called the Skywalker Saga, but it's basically ends up with 2 Palpatines and a Solo fighting to the death at the end. It's not a Skywalker Saga at all, but yeah. Right, so the hyper ramming that happened in The Last Jedi, that was all there's a big joke made about that. Oh, that was only so special, it can only happen once apparently. I think Poe Dameron said sort of dismissing, why can't we just force hyper ram one of our X-wings into the whole fleet? But no, apparently they can't do that this time. Yeah, so the Force Mutiny I've already gone through with Janna. Janna was the other woman that suddenly turned up as a new Finner-like. Didn't really see very much of Rose Tico. She was kind of in the background, sort of muttering some lines in the background. Yeah, so Force Ghost, Rose Tico and others. Maz Kanata, I mean, she was quite a big... She's been, I think, for thousands of years. I think she's been alive, and she, you know, right to the past. And the only thing she had really involvement in was passing on a medal to Chewbacca, which the kind of people would have imagined was, look, you know, there was actually a medal for Chewie right at the beginning of, right, you know, at the end of A New Hope, but he just never got it. But actually, this medal was something that. A medal that Han stole from Luke Skywalker and paid Maz Kanata for a bar bill, and she told him off about it apparently, but that's the one that Maz Kanata suddenly felt that she could now give to Chewbacca for some reason. I don't quite know why, but you only find that out about that in books or comics, and that apparently that's that wasn't explained at all in the 3 films at all. At the end of the whole film, the Resistance didn't win anyway, because all they'd done is destroyed the Palpatine's new fleet. There's still the First Order out there, and they'd still taken over the entire galaxy apparently between the end of the Last Jedi and the fall of Skywalker, the rise of Skywalker, and apparently within a few days, apparently they'd taken over the whole galaxy, which is quite weird. But there still would have been, you know, lots of forces about, forces of evil. I mean, the entire millions of Sith acolytes and Sith followers, and what was the planet destroyed? I can't remember. I think the planet was destroyed. They just happened to have another few thousand ships coming along the rebels, and I suppose that's what destroyed all the baddies, but you never got to find out really. The way there was hyperspace skipping, all of this flying of the Millennium Falcon, as if it's some little fighter, you know, all through the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and it was all just being flown completely wrong. It's a freighter, it sort of took off and was graceful, and sort of flew in, sort of hovered itself underneath, not sort of flying about at 200 miles an hour and sort of skipping about over the place and able to crash and bounce about. It's not how you fly a Falcon. Yeah, so Snoke was apparently created by Palpatine. What, did he even know he was created by Palpatine? Was he a separate entity, or was he just, you know, if he could create Snoke, why can't he create a clone for himself? I don't understand. Sort of, and kill Snoke, or get Snoke to kill him and he becomes Snoke. I don't know. Finn and Poe Dameron having their god mode on all the time, just running through fields of stormtroopers, just and they're all falling over the place. I didn't really thought that was a bit stupid. Yeah, so we already had the full salute with the Rey lightsaber. And for Luke Skywalker catching Rey's lightsaber when she tossed it into the burning remains of Kylo's ship, and in catching it, saying no, you shouldn't disrespect the lightsaber like that. Was out the two fingers up to Rian Johnson as well when he just decided to chuck it over his shoulder in The Last Jedi. Kylo was nowhere near bad enough. At least he should have beaten Rey once. You know, none of the no, Rey didn't lose once in the whole film, in the whole series of films. And you know, the two films, that Force Awakens and the Last Jedi, and then the whole three films that were squished into the Rise of Skywalker. She defeated Kylo 4 times, you know, right from the beginning of her first holding a lightsaber. He should have had some kind of victory. He should have been able to, you know, been a bit more domineering as the leader of the First Order, and a bit more powerful with the Force, I think. Yeah, so Rey ends up taking pretty much everything that Luke had, or Skywalker's had. She ended up with the Millennium Falcon, with Chewbacca, with R2-D2 and C-3PO. She had his lightsaber and Leia's lightsaber and her own lightsaber, and then she ended up right at the end. She went and took over Luke's old home as well, and in the end took his name, which she wasn't entitled to. She wasn't a Skywalker. The only Skywalkers in it were the offspring of Shmi Skywalker, which was Anakin Skywalker, and their two children, which were Luke and Leia. And then Ben, he was more of a Skywalker than Rey was ever. It was should have been called The Death of the Skywalkers, or it should have been called what did I write? It should have been called the Death of Skywalkers, or the end of the Skywalkers. I thought I wrote that down. Yeah, it should have been called The Rise of Palpatine, or The Death of Skywalker. That would have been more correct. So it's basically the Palpatine's story, right the way through the prequels, right the way through the original trilogy, and now suddenly apparently Rey being a Palpatine. There's all of the sequels about Palpatines as well, about how they just got rid of, the Skywalker name that was. If they had a bit with right at the beginning with the ghost of Anakin Skywalker talking to Kylo Ren, saying about how, I tried to bring balance to the Force, but the Force was so strong in Palpatine that now you, the last of the Skywalkers, well, no, not the last, the last hope that was powerful enough to be able to defeat Palpatine. So there's a fly I had to catch. Yeah, the last of the Skywalker reign that was able to beat the Palpatine. He's got to make this final sacrifice to be able to bring the balance to the Force when he enables Rey to actually defeat Palpatine. We'll call him Darth Sidious. And that would have been brought some kind of cohesion to why Kylo had to die in the end. Just so many plot holes and so many. But yeah, they weren't just plot holes; they were plot wormholes. There were just so many plot holes in the 3 films, but they were such bad, horrible plot holes that they lead like wormholes back to the previous 6 films and make them bad as well. That's what these three films done. The whole new the sequel trilogy. They actually destroyed what's happened in the previous 6 films. And just all of the majesty and the vulnerability of the Jedi was all completely gone with Rey. All of the possibility of failure that happened with Luke, Han, and Leia, and they failed quite a lot. And that's what gave them, gave the Empire some kind of meaning, some kind of fear factor to the First Order and the baddies. But there was no failure by Rey at all. like through any of it. Apparently she's the biggest, best pilot in the world as well, but apparently she doesn't know how to fly an X-wing because apparently she had her X-foils open when she was doing a hyperspacing through to try and find, this X-wing fighter raised out of the water after I don't know how many goddamn years it was in the water, and it's something it flies okay as well. Oh dear. Wayfinders. There's no need for these wayfinders anyway. These two devices that are apparently the only way you can get to the Emperor, because Rey was able to just fly to get to the Emperor, and she just left a trail for the whole of the Rebel Alliance to follow, and then Lando came along afterwards as well with another 5,000 ships apparently. So there's no need for these wayfinders anyway. And why would there be wayfinders anyway? Why would the Emperor have left them about it to find? It's just crazy. And the Death Star was supposed to have been destroyed, and there was doors opening and working in it and things, and a working TIE fighter that Kylo happened to find. And there were some good bits in the film. I liked the little bit of Luke training Leia. I thought that was quite cool, but someone pointed out that Luke was made to was dressed like Leo, and Leo was dressed how Luke would have been, which is quite funny. And Wedge Antilles returned as well, which I thought was quite good. But I mean, every shot of the film, if you take every single shot of the film, they look spectacular. But it's just that all of these shots of the film were put together and had sound put in the back, put into it as well, and it became this film called The Rise of Skywalker. Just so fast paced, didn't give you a chance to to think about where people were, what was happening, what just happened. By the time you're laughing at one point, there's another bit to laugh at, and it's just the whole lot of it. It just made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And it says this is the last of the last of the Skywalker saga that they called it, which wasn't a Skywalker saga because. But there's going to be other films because they've got this young actress, and they've got this. She's set up in Luke's house, and now the First Order is still there. The Emperor, the New Republic has got to be renewed again, and they've got to try and once again defeat the First Order, which are still about. Even I think they were there trying to. With the Sith, the Sith Eternal Fleet. But the Sith, the First Order, were all the way through the galaxy apparently. They according to the scroll. But just comparing that to the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was just so much like Star Wars. So it's not the Disney Star Wars. Disney Star Wars can be good. It's the directors. It's all to do with just the two directors. And Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know Star Wars. She allows stupid things. She thought the Force was female and stuff like that. But at the end of it, she didn't get her way. The director got her way, and apparently Rey was produced by a male anyway. So all of this thoughts that Rey was just the superior woman, and all sort of was sort of turned around by J.J. Abrams. Sort of that's one good thing he done. He sort of made it so that Rey wasn't the only one and only thing. She was actually created by Palpatines, which makes you realise now that it's actually all of the directors had all of the writing. They made films, and with a bit of with the production, executive production by Kathleen Kennedy all the way through it. But the same with The Mandalorian. But it's the directors that make the films. J.J. Abrams couldn't make a Star Wars film ever in his life, and it pains me to say that the directing of The Last Jedi was actually better, I thought, than Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, because they were just so fast paced and there was just so much in it. You just didn't have the time to breathe at all, and I just didn't. And what happened in The Last Jedi just didn't make any sense. But you can have good Star Wars, new Star Wars, because I'm hoping that the Clone Wars isn't going to be destroyed with this new series. But you know, I'm even at pains to say that probably even the Forces, things like Forces of Destiny, was more like Star Wars than the Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy. But The Mandalorian goes to show that Disney can make brilliant Star Wars. That felt like, you know, the sort of Star Wars we had in A New Hope and you know, the prequels and the original trilogy. I haven't seen The Resistance yet. But Rebels kind of went down this sort of horrible dark corridor of, you know, all of the time, you know, time jumping. What's it called? Jumping through time, wolves and flying whales and flying lightsabers and things, which are all a bit ridiculous. But there was really good Mandalorian stuff in there. But yeah, I mean, they can make good Star Wars, and hopefully, I think there's the Kenobi series coming up, isn't there? Or they should have made the Kenobi separate film. But there's so much in Star Wars that can still be good and still be made. The good Star Wars that can be made. But yeah, there will be another series of films. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. It won't be Rian Johnson making them. But there will be more Ray films, definitely. But the powers of the Force are just unlimited now, so they can just do anything really. It's just become more basic sci-fi with all the things from sci-fi in it. But yeah, it's not a Star Wars universe from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Sort of some mysticism about it all. It's just everything can happen in Star Wars now. Just bring people back from the dead. You know, no one dies. You don't have to fail at all. But anyway, that's what I'm gonna. I'm gonna wrap it up there. I think I've gone on through too long. Yeah, I had to go and see it at the cinema. I'll download it again, probably watch it once, then I'll probably get the Blu-ray just so I can see all the making of, because I still like all the making of. The Knights of Ren still fascinate me. There's lots of stuff that still interests me quite a lot about it all, and but none of it pertains really to the original trilogy and the prequels. I think you've just got to take your best of what you like out of what is canon and what is in the you know, what's considered the legends, and just make what you want of Star Wars really. I mean, that's what we used to do when the books were out, because they sort of contradicted themselves quite a bit, books and things, and the expanded universe. But I don't know, I thought they were going down a big cloning route with Baby Yoda and clone Baby Yoda, but that's not going to happen now. So yeah, Baby Yoda's going to appear if he doesn't die. He's going to appear sometime in the future of Rey, so that'll be a sort of a story arc to look at. And but yeah, it does. There is a lot of new stuff you can try and learn about, because it was all explained somewhere. Maybe sometime in the future it will be explained in some comic or some book somewhere to sort of explain why all of what happened in those mishmash of 3 films. But anyway, I mean, there wasn't a trilogy made when Lucas made the first film, but there certainly wasn't any plan at all for the last 3 films. Yeah, there wasn't any plan at all for Palpatine to return, and him being the one that wasn't always the plan at all, I don't think. But anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. I've had my moan about the Skywalker saga. I mean, I still love the three prequels, the 3 original trilogy, best out of a lot of them. But I think the Rise of Skywalker's got to be on a par with the Rise of the Last Jedi as being my most unliked of all of the films. I don't want to put them in order now, but A New Hope first, Empire Strikes Back second, Return of the Jedi, then sort of the prequels really, I suppose. Starting with yeah, probably Revenge of the Sith, actually, closely followed by Attack of the Clones, and then Phantom Menace. But in between that, I really like yeah, including the anthologies that were supposed to be a big long series of films. I think that Rogue One has got to fit in between the original trilogy and the prequels, and Solo has got to fit in somewhere after the prequels, so before the sequels. I thought that was a bit pointless and unnecessary, but it was still quite a good film. But yeah, so we've got another few thousand different types of stormtrooper and that to deal with now. Now the Rise of Skywalker is out. You know, but the stormtroopers just good enough. I thought they were the meanest, baddest, multi-purpose troop in the galaxy, but not anymore. Anyway, 42 years has culminated in this poor thoughts of a lifelong Star Wars fan who 42 years ago as a 9-year-old boy, does that add up? Yeah, 51 now. 42 years of my life spending thousands and thousands of pounds, yeah, tens of thousands of pounds, and all of my life dedicated to learning about Star Wars and reading the books, and then suddenly the sequels, Disney comes along, the sequels come along, and all of my books are now all bullshit. All bullshit, yeah, basically, a lot of it, or the little bits they want to pick out of it, and now suddenly these 3 Skywalker destroying films come along and completely rewrite the whole history of Star Wars, basically. And you've got to try and piece together loads of plot holes and loads of nothingness. But anyway, I'm going to stop my moaning from there. Take care, and I hope you liked my Baby Yoda.